Greetings, Mark Garang here, publisher of the Conway Daily Sun. And today my guests are representatives from the Conway Humane Society, Timothy Westwig, who's the executive director, and Lindsay Yodice, who's the event coordinator, or director of events.
Yes.
Greetings all.
Thanks.
Thank
yeah,
you.
happy to be here.
And Lindsay, I guess you're new on the job.
I am. I'm a little over a month.
Good. And so I guess your first up is Bark in the Park.
Bark in the Park this Saturday.
So
Very exciting.
That's we'd easier on a little small one.
yeah.
Jump in the.
Is that your biggest one of the year?
It's our biggest in terms of coordinating. A lot of moving parts for sure. Yeah.
So I mean, either one of you. I mean, so how's it look? How's it look for the event this Saturday? I mean, it looks like the weather's going to be good.
Yes, which is a big part of it, so that everyone can really enjoy the day. But it's all about the dogs, pretty much, that day. We have an honor walk that starts the day.
And where is it going to do a little geography here? Where is it going to be?
Okay, so it starts in Schuler Park here in North Conway. And then the honor walk will start in the park, and then we go up through Whitaker Woods and back down to Schuler Park, where we enjoy the day.
And the honor walk is what?
The honor walk has tribute markers along the through the woods, and you can walk alone, you can walk with a friend, you can walk with an animal through the woods and back to Schuler Park. You can buy a trail marker to honor someone or a pet that you've had in the past, and you can also buy a trail marker for someone that was, you know, that may have passed or something like that. Or you can just honor one that you have now.
Okay, and so obviously the Bark in the Park is is it your biggest fundraiser of the year?
Well, it's our Be a Humane Hero dinner and auction is our largest.
Okay.
But this is the largest in terms of people and coordination and having vendors and activity that day and people from the public. So it's a big deal. And it's also our longest fundraiser. Like, it has a 20-plus year history as well. So it's we are just returning to Schuler Park last year after a hiatus away from it. So we had moved to Whitaker Woods and tried a couple other things, different names. And last year it was Bark is Back.
Bark is Back.
Because whenever I would say, hey, we're going to have a walk for the animals in Whitaker Park, then people would say, oh, you mean Bark in the Park?
Yes, right. So you changed it. I mean, not to go into the history, but why did you move out of Schuler Park to begin with?
Well, that was before we were here, and so we had
how
nothing
long
to
have
do
you been
with
executive director?
I've been there 5 years.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Shocking.
it's been back in the Schuler Park for 1 year.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
and you changed the name back.
Yes.
Okay.
Bark is Back.
Bark is Back. That's a good, that's good.
Yes.
And okay, so and what other events are going on there? So this is all about fun. How much money do you raise? You think you'll raise, or you anticipate you'll raise?
We have a goal of $50,000, so we still have some work to do on that, but a lot will happen this week. A lot of people do a lot of last-minute fundraising, and there'll be a fundraising things that go on during that day, and raffles and prizes and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Hey, Rob, can you show a couple of photos from last year while we're still on this? And that's at the park.
Yes.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Lots of vendors.
You have lots of vendors.
Yep.
And selling, obviously they're selling pet-related stuff, but also food and that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, we have five great food trucks that will be there.
Yep.
You know what they are?
We do.
Yeah.
We have Nacho Average. We have Junkyard Dogs, and Junkyard Dogs is giving us 10% of their proceeds from that day as well. So that would be
What do they sell?
a really good
What kind of food?
hot dogs.
Of course. Why didn't
We have Dave's New England Food. We have MC Street Eats, Mighty Mini Donuts if you have a sweet tooth, Wicked Fresh Fried Chicken as well. Yeah, so a good variety of different types
That'll
of food
be a good
to stop by.
good warm-up for the Freiburg Fair for people to go over.
That's
very
right.
A couple
true.
of
That's
vendors,
right.
you know,
Yeah.
prime for the fair.
You can start with the mini donuts and work up. Yes.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
And the chicken, that's a new one.
Yep. You'll get, you have your walk, so then once you get back, you'll probably be hungry.
Sure.
So,
And for the dogs, there must be some all
Absolutely.
kinds of treats and stuff there.
yeah,
right?
there'll be treats we have donated from Open Farm. They are donating us treats that day. And then they'll be able to get their nails trimmed by donation. There'll be doggy ice cream.
Wow.
So we have a lot of fun things, and there'll be silver tags and stuff like that that people could purchase. We'll have tie-dye. We have a pie eating contest. We have a lot of fun
for the
things.
people or the dogs?
Both.
People against the dog, isn't it?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to take on that. I got some neighborhood labs. I don't think I'd want to touch them. But
Yes, yes. You better be on your game if you're
what
going
kind of pies do dogs eat?
It's a whipped cream pie.
Whipped cream pie.
Yes.
And that's okay for dogs?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. What about cats? Are they? It's all bark in the park, so this is not meow in the
Right.
meadow or something, right?
Right, exactly. Well, that's an idea. No, I'm kidding.
Oh my goodness. Yes.
No, I think cats have attended this before.
We've had Floki the cat attend.
Okay.
Are you aware of Floki? Floki is a cat alumni of ours who actually became kind of famous and was in a lot of publications because the owner, I believe it was Ismail, forgive me if I'm wrong, but they climbed all 48.
I do that.
Yes,
Yeah,
climbed all 48 4,000 footers with Floki. So
amazing.
Floki made an appearance last year, and I think probably will this year as well.
Great.
Yeah,
That's
so there
nice to
is
have
some
a
cat
couple.
represented.
Yeah.
Celebrity cats. That's kind of nice.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about your new animal hospital, but since we're talking about cats and dogs, talk about your adoption process and how many dogs are adopted compared to cats?
Well, you know, it's been interesting. It changes. There are different streaks that happen. You know, of course, during the pandemic, everyone knows that everyone was like adopting dogs. We couldn't get them fast enough for people to adopt them, and that was a common experience for all shelters. And then things have slowed down with dogs, and actually, right now, we can't keep enough cats.
But people turn their dogs back, right?
Well,
that happens so much. Yeah, I know in urban
yeah.
areas more so because they had to, in their apartments. But
Yes,
you guys have a dog? Do you have a dog?
Do I personally? Yes, absolutely. I have a dog and a cat.
No.
Got to be fair.
Okay.
So there has been, a bunch of things in the news about dogs being returned, and there definitely was some of that.
Okay.
We haven't seen so much of that as people who are running into housing issues. There's a huge problem with people moving, particularly people living in apartments and then trying to move, and they can no longer have their pets. There's certainly been a lot of pressure on people financially. The vet costs are going through the roof, and people are having a hard time dealing with that when their pets are ill. So the last year and a half has seen a big slowdown in dog adoptions because of those factors.
And what can you put a number on how many dogs are adopted through you?
Well, we generally adopt about 400 to 500 animals a year in the mix, and it's usually favored in the dogs.
Yeah.
But right now, it's favored in the cats. And that's not just us. I've heard that throughout New Hampshire Federation of Humane Societies. That they're
Now,
experiencing
for
that.
landlords, are they more willing to accept cats than dogs? I mean, dogs are, there are horror stories with dogs in apartments.
Well, unfortunately, there are horror stories, but they're very few and far between, but they get a lot of attention.
Okay.
And, I would, if the lawyers are watching, I would encourage them to stop telling their landlords to do that because actually people do more damage to apartments than dogs ever will.
That I would agree to.
So, to be serious, this is like family members. You're asking people to move and not bring a family member with them.
Right.
And so we see, heartbreaking cases like that.
Obviously it's exacerbated the fact that there are so few rents that's available that obviously landlords can be very choosy.
Yes.
And I don't think it's discriminatory to not allow dogs, right?
Not legally, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, morally, I would say so.
Morally, okay,
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
sure. And so what's the whole philosophy? Like when that's a lot of dogs. I mean, a lot of pets, 400 or
Yes.
500 a year.
Yes.
That means that's local,
Yes.
right? So every year is 400 or 500 new ones. Of course, there are a few that go away, and so I'm sure there's that natural churn, so to speak. And your dogs and the cats, where do you get your cats? Where do you get your dogs and cats? I know mostly they come from the south, right?
Well, actually, that's not entirely true. Over the last couple of years, we've had almost all our animals come from local surrenders.
Really?
And yes, and we actually had to stop transporting animals from down south for quite some time because of the slowdown in adoptions and the increase of local animals coming in. So, but we have picked that up a little bit now. So we do bring animals from what's considered high kill shelters from down south. And we also, we bring in cats from local areas as well. And we sometimes transport them too. We transport them from Philadelphia, from Florida. So yeah, they come from a variety of different places.
Now the people bring in, I mean, there are no more. I live in my neighborhood. It was kind of interesting a few weeks ago because nobody has, with leash laws, nobody lets their dog run around anymore.
Right.
I mean, basically, you
Yes.
know, when I was a kid, I'm older than you guys, but you know, dogs are everywhere, you know, and so I have a couple Airbnb homes next to me, and someone was staying there from out of town, and there's a neighborhood dog, a local, who does walk around the neighborhood, and he's a fine dog, right? And the renter came out with the dog and holding it, you know, and he says, "Hey, I found this dog." And I said, "Let him go." And he says, "What do you mean let him go?" I said, "No, just let him go." Like he couldn't believe that there's actually a dog wandering around the neighborhood, you know, so that kind of culture has changed so much. So what is the philosophy though? I mean, is your charge with adoption, you know, when you bring them from the South, or you did, and you still do, is it to try to help those dogs, or you just, or satisfying a demand here? In other words, what's the purpose of doing all that? Is it primarily to save the dogs from the kill shelters in the South? And obviously part of that is to place them in where people want them.
Yes. Well, part of our mission is to rescue animals, right? And we work collectively with a lot of humane societies. I mean, we're independent and managed ourselves, but we understand the whole thing that's going on with everybody. And for a long time, New England humane societies have been rescuing animals from the South and bringing them here because we're talking about perfectly healthy dogs and cats that are being euthanized purely because there's no space. And that number prior to the pandemic had started to go down, and now it's back up just under 1 million.
A million? What do you mean 1 million?
1 million animals that are being destroyed.
I mean, throughout the country.
Throughout the country. You know, Texas and California are huge numbers, hundreds of thousands, and lots of other states. So we definitely believe in doing our part.
You're not are you a kill center?
No.
Totally non. Totally.
Yes.
Even if it's a real troubled dog?
Well, it's for health reasons or serious behavioral.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, we believe in rescuing animals wherever they're from, if we have the space to do it. And you also point out the truth that there is a demand issue when people want to adopt animals, and if we don't have enough local surrenders for that, then we're bringing them from somewhere else.
And why are there so many dogs in the South? Just because it's warm and people they breed and they can leave them outside?
They don't have the spay neuters clinics, and it's just not doing that like we do in the New England or northern states. It's just.
And why is that? We just smarter than the people in the South?
No, I didn't say that.
Oh,
Yeah.
I can say that.
No, I don't know. I don't. I've never lived there. I don't know the philosophy and thinking behind it.
So it's a culture.
It's a culture.
Thing.
Yeah.
And when you bring dogs up, do you get to choose? You say, "Oh, I want 4 20-pounders and 2 Rottweilers and throw in a pug," or how does that work?
It's not exactly like that, but we work with we're very selective about very reputable places that we know are going to screen them for health conditions, and so we are selective about the animals that we're bringing. We're not just send us.
You mean you choose them individually?
Yes.
Or you get a list?
Well, we sometimes choose them individually, and sometimes just like we want clean health records. That's number one.
Right. They
have to have very good health records. And if we know about a place that hasn't had good history in the past, they've sent sick animals, or their records aren't good, we won't work with them.
Yeah. And what is the most? I mean, my understanding is that people there are a lot of big dogs in this world, but people like small dogs, right? I mean, so is there more demand on? I guess I'll put it as a question: is there more demand on small dogs or big dogs, or what's the mix?
Yes, and again, poor
I'm
Lindsay,
not sure.
Lindsay's month on the job, so we will put a lot of pressure
You're the
on
vet
her.
person. You're not the dog counting person.
Yeah.
No, sorry.
When we look at our length of stay, certainly small dogs move faster. But you know, people are always individual in what they're looking for. You know, some people want a big dog. That's what they've been used to their whole life, and that's what they come in looking for.
Is there a most popular dog that comes through? I mean, from the South, I mean, usually it's like the lab, you know, just a bunch of mixes.
Well,
stuff.
it is a bit of a joke with the Humane Societies that, you know, everything is a lab mix.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, yes.
It's probably because it's true, right?
Yeah, it's pretty true.
Yeah.
It's pretty true. So, yeah, I don't know that there's one more popular than others, and you know, we'll get calls from people who are looking for purebreds, which we're like, you're calling a Humane Society. We
Right.
don't. That's not something we have.
Oh, that's a good question, though. So you just don't have them, or why doesn't that?
It's
that
not really. And usually, if there's purebreds, there's like specialized rescues that are dealing particularly with that.
Right.
But it's just not a common thing at all for a Humane Society.
Because I know I have a sister, and she was always a German Shepherd person, white German Shepherds, and she was a host family, whatever that means. But she adopted her white, over the years, a couple of shepherds through the special white German Shepherd Society or whatever what it was called.
Yeah,
so,
there's plenty of those that are, you know, beagles or whatever it is. There's a certain society doing that.
Yeah, I don't know who would ever want a beagle. I had a beagle, 2 beagles next to me when I was renting a house years ago. And of course, I didn't sleep for 2 years.
Yes, they are a lot. Yeah, I almost adopted 2 once, and I thought the better of it, but I was going to name them Holy and Moly.
How about Loud and Louder?
That probably would have been more appropriate.
The other, I mean, so that's big news about the Bark in the Park, and then, but you just announced, and you're having a grand opening, I think, next week.
Yes,
for your
on the 23rd.
Animal hospital.
Yes.
I mean, that's kind of it's like boom, all of a sudden, an animal hospital. That's a pretty big deal.
Yes, located at the same location as the Humane Society.
And how did you do that?
So it's right on, we're all in a row. We have the hospital, we have the adoption center, and then we have our administrative offices all together on one property.
Did you build a new building for the animal hospital, or just?
Fortunately, we had a section of the building that was underutilized, and it's actually the oldest part of the building that was the original. It used to be called the cat house because they only did cats in there when they first started.
Oh, yeah.
And now it's been renovated over the last several months will be our hospital. So basically what happened is there was a change in, I'm not sure law, but administrative rules that Humane Societies could now house animal hospitals, full on. Before that, it only been that we could do low-cost spay-neuter clinics. So when I learned about this from another Humane Society that had started one, I was like, this is a no-brainer. I mean,
why? Why is it a no-brainer?
Well, because it is a huge demand here.
There are not enough vets in this?
There's not enough vets. We hear people, you know, waiting to get an appointment. I mean, we adopt out animals, and we want the person to tell us who their vet of record is going to be. And it's very hard when we're adopting out animals and we can't tell them where to go where they're being accepted new patients. You know, so that was just a big problem. And all of our animals to be adopted have to have a certificate of health. And right now, for many years, we've contracted with a veterinarian to come in and give us some hours per month. But sometimes that could be like 1 day a month. So we could get an animal that got transported in and has been with us for a month before they even have seen a veterinarian. And during that time, a lot of people may have wanted to adopt that animal but cannot.
So the vet is going to, I mean, if you had can you guess a percentage of time of how much time your new vet is going to, and her name is what, I forget, Lois?
Dr. Leo.
Leo, that's
Ashley
right,
Leo.
Dr. Leo, yes.
Yes.
And I was going to say Lois, but I was close,
Yeah.
Leo.
Yeah.
Leo.
And, but how much time is she going to spend on working with your dogs that you adopt? I mean, obviously
Yes.
that's very efficient.
Yeah.
Boom, dog comes in, down the
Yes.
hall, clear it,
Yes.
clear it.
Yeah.
And how much time will be spent on new patients, do you think?
We are estimating that probably about 30% of the hospital's time will be with in-house animals. I mean, time will tell us, and I'm sure there will be cases that shift that. But on average, we're estimating about 30% of the time.
So it's going to be a revenue generator for you.
Yes, yes.
And for emergency services, I mean, I don't have a dog. My dog of many, many years died last year. Sympathy, please.
Well,
and,
we are sorry.
Yeah,
Yes.
and but for emergencies, the only people go to Scarborough. Is that the only place to go to now?
There's a new place in Ossipee. I think it's Ossipee.
Yeah.
Just very new, and they are doing emergency services. So that's
Okay.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
And so are you open for service? If you're having grand opening next week, it's Monday, right?
Yep, Monday the 23rd at 2 p.m.
All right.
It's a ribbon cutting ceremony, and the public is welcome. We'll have light refreshments. We'll have a tour of the facility. You can meet our staff and get to know what we'll offer and what we can provide for the community.
And it's nice that Dr. Leo is local. She's a local
Yes.
kind of grad, and
Yes.
I saw her bio there and went to school wherever she went to school, and it's great. It's very difficult. My new in-laws, my son married a woman from Brazil, and her sister is a vet, and her husband's a vet professor, and they moved to Oklahoma. And it's just so interesting, the difference in cultures and how much. Why is it so? Let me ask you. I guess where I'm going to. Why is it so difficult? Why is there so few vets in this country? And other countries have more vets, and they specialize more. Like my son's wife's sister, she has owns a clinic or something. All they do is dogs and cats. No other animals. Period. Oh, speaking of which, do you do other animals? Other pets?
We do sometimes small animals. I mean, we try to stick to dogs and cats, but people will bring us things randomly, and we do the best that we can.
Okay.
Sometimes, somebody's found a bird or a parrot somewhere, or rabbits and guinea pigs and all of this. Yeah. Actually, we probably will start doing that as Dr. Leo gets us comfortable, and we may end up doing some more with that. But you had a question. You were leading.
Yeah, I don't know. I was going to say, how come there's so few vets in this country?
Oh, okay, yes. Well, during the pandemic, there was a huge increase in animal ownership. There was a lot of first-time animal owners, and so that certainly made a difference. And so the amount of pressure on individual vets has been huge. There's also a huge movement with private practices being corporatized, which is huge.
Is that good or bad?
Well, well, if you're a shareholder, I guess it's good.
Yeah.
But the overall impression that I have heard from both the clients and the people working is it's bad. That people are not happy in that. And in fact, so going back when I first started floating this idea that we should do this, my own board and other people were like, "You'll never get a veterinarian. You'll never get one." And then Dr. Leo just kind of fell in our lap as like a perfect candidate.
Yeah.
It was like oh my gosh, is this real?
Yeah.
And then people said, "Oh, that's great, but you'll never get vet techs." And then
wow.
And then we got 2 fantastic vet techs.
Huh.
And part of that is that they do not want to work in the corporate environment.
Got it. Yeah.
Yeah, and we're hearing that from a lot of people that are very dissatisfied from that. So if the corporations are listening, they should do a better job in treating, they're just coming in and treating people like numbers, and that's not good.
Yeah. Well, I know that in the newspaper industry too.
Yes, right.
So, Lindsay, so if you're the new director of events,
Yeah.
does that imply, can I infer that there are other events coming?
Well, of course. We have Putts for Pets, which is on October 7th.
Putts. You mean you have to be a putz? No, not that putz. Like putz?
With an S.
Yes.
Not
Golfing.
a Z. Not a Z, yeah.
Yes, golfing. So we have the ribbon cutting ceremony. We have Bark in the Park. We have Putts for Pets. We have Dine to Donate, which we're doing at Flatbread Pizza this Thursday.
Okay.
So if you want to go get a pizza there, that money will go towards our event, Bark in the Park, too. So you can
Nice.
help us out in that way, too.
Good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anything else? Any last words? We have like 1 minute left before. Anything else you want to say about this Saturday's event? What time should people show up?
Registration will begin at 9 a.m. The walk will be at 10. And then around 11 o'clock, that's when all of our demos and exhibitions and stuff will start happening. The vendors, there'll be tricks with Chief, so you can learn some tricks with your dog if you bring your dog, and we'll have some contests like best tail, best ears. We'll have a costume contest.
Wow.
It'll be a lot of fun.
And I think we're still looking for volunteers to be in the dunk tank, right?
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah,
right.
like prominent,
yeah.
like
I don't have a
people-
dog. My
like-
dog can't go in the dog
like
tank.
like prominent people
Yeah.
who like run newspapers and stuff.
Oh yeah, there
That
we go.
might be
Sure.
good.
So who judges like the best tail and the best ears and all that kind of stuff? You do?
Some volunteers,
Yeah.
yes.
Oh really?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm
Like
sure
our
you get.
board chair, you know, people like that within the
Yeah.
community. Yep.
Well, I'm sure you have a list of criteria for that, like the bush's tail or
Yes.
whatever. I don't know. Anyway, anything else, Timothy?
Well, we just want to let people know that you can call the Humane Society now and start booking yourself as a client for the animal hospital.
Okay,
so we're
nice.
open for that.
Yeah.
And you can find out if you look at our website, conwayhumane.org, click on the hospital link and find out all the details.
Okay, good. Well, it's Lindsay. It's been a
Yes.
pleasure meeting you.
Nice to meet you.
Timothy, nice to see you.
Thank you.
And take care and good luck Saturday.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
All right.
Okay.